Today we are going to see an important topic, sickle cell anemia. This question has been asked in the previous year. Very important topic in MCQ point of view. This is a quick revision notes which will be useful for you at the last time of your Neet preparation. Sickle cell anemia. What is the meaning of sickle cell anemia? Anemia, you know, anemia means there is a reduction in the number of RBCs. So RBCs means red blood corpuscles. If there is a decrease in the number of red blood corpuscles, you call it as anemia. The most common cause of anemia is, that is decrease in RBC count, is iron deficiency. So in that case you call that anemia as iron deficiency anemia. There are different types of anemia. The most common is iron deficiency anemia. But the today's topic, sickle cell anemia, is different. So let us see the topic. So sickle cell anemia is an autosomal recessive disease. It is an autosomal recessive disease. It is a hereditary disorder. It's a hereditary disorder or inherited disease. Inherited disease. So what is the meaning of hereditary or inherited? It means, we'll see it as an example. See, a child receives gene from both the parent, father and mother. Okay, so the child receives the gene from father and mother. Gene, what is the function of gene? The gene carries the information. Okay, gene is the one which carries information from the parents to the child or passes from one generation to the next generation. So gene is the one which carries the correct information. So child receives the gene both from the father and from the mother. If suppose the father and mother has a defective gene, if their gene has undergone changes, what is that called? Mutation. So if there is a change in the gene, change in the normal gene, in the arrangement or the sequence, okay, sequence of arrangement in the gene, it results in mutation. So if there is a change in the normal gene, it results in an abnormal gene. The child can receive an abnormal gene both from the father and from the mother, or it can be from either father or from the mother. At the time when the child is born, the child will be having the disease. So the disease which is present at the time of birth, the disease which is present at the time of birth, which is passed from their parents to the child, is called as hereditary disorder or inherited disease. So the disease which is present at the time of birth, you call it as hereditary disorder or inherited, which is passing from generation to from one generation to next generation through the gene, is called as inherited disease. So sickle cell anemia is an autosomal recessive hereditary disorder or inherited disease. This is the one of the common hereditary disorder. There are many number of hereditary disorder, and sickle cell anemia is the one which is very common among the hereditary disorders. Okay, so what does it affect? It is a disorder of the blood. So sickle cell anemia is a disorder of the blood. It is present at the time of birth. Which means it is a hereditary disorder or it is an inherited disease. It is an autosomal recessive disorder. This point alone is, now it's enough. Okay, autosomal recessive, I will explain it as separate one. So it is a disorder of the blood. So in blood you have two parts, that is plasma and formed elements. Okay, blood, what does blood contain? You have plasma and formed elements. So under formed elements you have WBCs, RBCs and platelets. Sickle cell anemia is due to the disorder of the red blood cells. What is the main function of red blood corpuscles? They carry oxygen and carbon dioxide. Okay, so gaseous transport is the main function of red blood cells. How does this red blood cells carry oxygen and carbon dioxide? Because of the hemoglobin. So sickle cell anemia is a disorder of the blood, and blood contains red blood corpuscles. Inside the red blood corpuscles you have hemoglobin, or you call it as HB. Okay, hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is the one, what is the main function of hemoglobin? Oxygen and carbon dioxide transport, that is the gaseous transport. Gaseous transport. And the other important point, MCQ point, is hemoglobin is the one which gives red color to the blood. So this is a coloring pigment also. So hemoglobin, this hemoglobin is made up of two parts, iron part and a protein part. This is a globular protein, so it contains two parts. Heme is the iron part, globin is the protein part. So hemoglobin is made up of protein part and iron part. In protein part, leave this iron part, the disorder is going to affect the protein part. Okay, so protein is made up of alpha subunit, two subunits. One is alpha subunit and another one is beta subunit. What does this mean? They are nothing but amino acids. Okay, amino acids. Amino acids are nothing but proteins. So this protein part is made up of two subunit, alpha subunit and beta subunit. These subunits are nothing but chain of amino acids. Okay, chain of amino acids. And this alpha in sickle cell anemia, this alpha subunit is normal. Okay, so coming to beta subunit, this amino acids, it is made up of amino acids. So at the sixth position, okay, sixth position, normally you have glutamic acid. So normal hemoglobin contains glutamic acid at the sixth position in the beta subunit. What happens in sickle cell anemia is this glutamic acid is replaced by valine. These are all amino acids. Name of the amino acids. Glutamic acid is the name of the amino acid. Valine is also an amino acid. So at the sixth position, glutamic acid is present in the normal hemoglobin. If the glutamic acid is replaced by valine, then it results in abnormal hemoglobin. So what happens here? Abnormal hemoglobin is formed because the normal chain pattern is disturbed. Okay, there is a change here resulting in abnormal hemoglobin. So when there is abnormal hemoglobin, what happens is you will not have normal RBCs, whereas you will have abnormal RBCs, red blood cells, resulting in sickle cell anemia. So what is the normal RBC? Shape of the normal RBC? It is disc shaped, biconcave disc, whereas in sickle cell anemia, the shape of the RBCs is like this. Meaning of sickle, what is the meaning of sickle? When you see the moon on 3rd or 4th day, it will look like this. This is called sickle appearance. Otherwise, you can see people use for cutting grass. Okay, you call it a sickle. It will be like this, a metal part for cutting the grass with a small handle. Okay, you call this as sickle. So sickle cell anemia, in sickle cell anemia, the RBCs will look like this crescent shaped. You call it a sickling of RBCs. These sickled RBCs will die early. They do not have normal lifespan, so they die too early, resulting in shortage or decrease in number of RBCs. So what happens? Anemia will develop. So when the anemia develops due to sickling of RBCs, you call it a sickle cell anemia. Quick revision: sickle cell anemia. Anemia means decrease in number of RBCs. Sickle cell anemia is an autosomal recessive disorder. You call it as hereditary disorder, or it is an inherited disease. It is a disorder of the blood. In the blood, it affects the red blood corpuscles. Inside the red blood corpuscles, you have hemoglobin, which helps in oxygen and carbon dioxide gaseous transport. In this, you have two parts. The globin part is the protein part and heme part is the iron part. In sickle cell anemia, the glutamic acid is replaced by valine at the 6th position, resulting in abnormality of the hemoglobin molecule. So due to abnormality of the hemoglobin molecule, the sickle cell anemia develops. So this abnormal RBC, due to this abnormality of the hemoglobin, the RBCs will have a crescent shape. Normally they have biconcave shape, but in this they have a crescent shape, which results in shorter lifespan. They die early, resulting in shortage of the RBCs, which results in anemia. So the anemia which happens due to sickling of the RBCs, you call it a sickle cell anemia.